Aston Villa yet again fall to a disappointing defeat in the Carabao Cup. We're knocked out in the fourth round. I was there. We didn't even celebrate when we scored a goal, really, apart from John Duran, and it begged the question that I've seen floating around on Twitter loads. Does Unai Emery disrespect domestic cup competitions? And that is what we're going to be looking at today, and I really want a lot of comments down below, a lot of discussion. What do you guys think? There will be a lot of new content coming to the channel. I know the content's been lacking a little bit recently. I've just been sort of planning out my YouTube roadmap. I love YouTube. I love content creation. It brings me a lot of happiness. It's a great sort of hobby, I guess, to have. And now I know what I'm going to be doing with this channel as well as some others as well. So please do be sure to stick around. Leave a like, subscribe for more Aston Villa content. There'll be loads coming on the channel. But let's have a little discussion. Does Emery disrespect domestic cups? So as you can see on the screen, Unai Emery has been a manager for 20 years now. He started in the 21st of December 2004. In that time, he has managed over 1,000 games, as you can see on the screen there, winning 547 of them and having a 53% win ratio. But what about his record in domestic cups? So if we scroll down here to his honours, we can see a 3-time Europa League winner with Sevilla. With PSG is where he won his only domestic cups in his entire career. That was 2 Coupe de France, 2 Coupe de la Ligue, and 2 Trophée des Champions, which is pretty much like, you know, in the Premier League, is it Community Shield? Winner of the Premier League plays the winner of the FA Cup. He won that twice as well. And you can see with Arsenal, nothing, obviously only there for a season. With Villarreal, only the Europa League. With Sevilla, the 3 Europa Leagues. With Villa, nothing at the moment. But is it a disrespect thing for him, or is it just hard draws, player rotation? What is it? Well, let's have a little dive in and see how his team's done in these seasons when he just didn't win these cups. So actually, in his first season with Sevilla, when they finished 9th in La Liga, he actually got to the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. He took over in about January time. Top scorer Alvaro Negredo. What a blast from the past. But then you can see when Emery's sort of priorities shift, you can see a bit of a shift in how his team performs in those cups. Now, this is the season he finished 5th. He got to he won the Europa League. Only the round of 32 in the Copa del Rey. Now, you think maybe they had a hard draw. It wasn't a hard draw, let's be fair here. They lost over 2 legs to Racing Santander. So perhaps rotation. He was going deep in the Europa League, of course. We go on to the next season that he had with Sevilla. I believe it was his last, again, UEFA Super Cup runners-up, winners of the Europa League, and then only the quarter-finals again of the Copa del Rey, so didn't particularly do too well. And then his last season with Sevilla, again won the Europa League, got knocked out in the group stage, and then was actually a runner-up in the Copa del Rey. So 3 seasons in, he finally managed to sort of get it right and get deep in a domestic cup as well. But then he moved on to Zenit St. Petersburg, not for very long. Then it was the PSG era. And in his 2 years with PSG, he won a treble, he won a quadruple twice, I think it was. Quadruple once, treble once. But you can see he won the Coupe de France, Coupe de la Ligue, and Trophée des Champions all of the time, pretty much. His 2 seasons, he won the lot. But then again, it is PSG in Ligue 1. PSG at that time were just completely dominant in that league. No one could even come close to them. Again, Champions League, he didn't get particularly far with PSG. Probably one of the gripes that they had and why they got rid of him so early. It wasn't the best tenure there. Only 1 league, only probably expected to be winning it every year there, really, for PSG, aren't you? So maybe that's something to look into as well. Didn't do too well in other competitions, but done well in those domestic cups. And prize money wasn't an issue, and we're going to get onto that a little bit later on as well. And then we move on to the infamous Arsenal season, the one season that apparently made every Arsenal fan absolutely hate Unai Emery. For some reason, they came 5th in the Premier League. They were obviously rebounding from the fact that Arsene Wenger had eventually left the club, but they did only get to the 4th round of the FA Cup and the quarter-final of the EFL Cup. So let's have a look. Did they have hard draws, or was he just prioritising other things? Now, this may be excusable to an extent. They were knocked out in the 4th round proper by Manchester United. Manchester United back then, they weren't the best, but they weren't probably as bad as they were nowadays, so perhaps you can forgive that. It's a hard draw. But what about the EFL Cup? Knocked out in the quarter-finals. If we scroll down here, there we are, quarter-finals. They were knocked out by Tottenham. So again, relatively hard draws, fair enough. did get them to the runner-up of the Europa League. Again, they haven't got back to that glory until recently, when Arteta took over and is now pushing them back towards the top of the league. So perhaps that could be excused. And then his final tenure, if we look at Villarreal. We went back to Villarreal, won the Europa League yet again, 7th in La Liga, and only again the quarter-finals of the Copa del Rey. Not too bad, to be fair, getting to the quarter-finals. The season after, round of 42, got to the semi-final of the Champions League. Runner-up in the UEFA Super Cup, obviously that's the one game, but 7th in La Liga again. Only round of 32 in the Copa del Rey. Now again, could this be excused by a dodgy draw? Perhaps, you never know. Let's go down here to the round of 32, which we bracketed here. So round of 32, Villarreal were knocked out by Sporting Gijón. I think Emery might not care. His priorities might be different, but why would his priorities be different? Money? It's no secret that Aston Villa have had to be very careful in and around the FFP PSR landscape. We had to sell Douglas Luiz, one of our best players last year, for probably a reduced amount. We probably didn't even want to sell him really to Juventus, just to get around it. We were tight. We were down to the wire, and that's been pretty well publicised. Now, perhaps this is why Unai Emery doesn't particularly care about the Carabao Cup. The winners of the Carabao Cup get 100,000 Great British pounds. The tickets are cheap. I know that ticket prices are a big thing at the moment in Aston Villa's current lifespan, with the Champions League prices being a little bit outrageous. £25 I paid for my ticket to go and watch the Crystal Palace game. You're not going to be getting a massive amount of money from that. Now, the FA Cup, I don't even think it is much better. The FA Cup, you get £1 million for winning. So perhaps we'll go a little bit deeper in that. I don't know. £1 million, is that going to be enough to balance the books out? Here's where I think, it's pretty obvious that Emery's not prioritising the Carabao Cup and FA Cup. Let's have a look at the Champions League prize money. I've flashed it up on the screen now. This is why, guys. The Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, they're just going to be so low on the list of objectives for Villa this season. Now, the winner gets 25 million. Now, in the FA Cup, it's 1 million for that, and then that's like that's your prize money. You finish there. But in the Champions League, we've made more money from our 3 games than we would make, 246, winning the FA Cup 6 times in a row. We get 2.1 million euros per Champions League phase win. We've got 3 wins, 6.3 million. If we get out and reach the knockout phase, that's another million. If we get to the round of 16, 11 million. It's ridiculous. Guys, the money is outrageous in the Champions League. That is why we are so focused on that, and we're always starting our top teams. The Premier League is exactly the same. For getting top 5 or 6 in the Premier League, you get so much money. It really will help us, and signings in the future, if we want to keep on bettering ourselves as a club. I kind of get why Emery probably doesn't care that much. Being said, it is sad. The domestic cups in England used to mean so much, especially the FA Cup, and nowadays you can tell it's only really won by the elite teams, Arsenal or Man City, Chelsea, teams like that. I mean, Chelsea literally have a squad of 41 superstars. They can afford to rotate and still put out these brilliant teams. The same with Manchester City. Their depth is amazing. But for Aston Villa to get to that level of depth, we've got to prioritise the Premier League and the Champions League. And I know that Emery comes out and says it's disappointing, but he almost alluded to it. We're playing Tyrone Mings and Kamara, both haven't started a game for what? I mean, Tyrone Mings was 455 days. It was great to see him back. Kamara, probably about 250 days. We've got Emi Buendia starting in there. Again, I don't think he's quite up to speed yet. He's giving players starts for confidence, to get their match fitness up, to get their sharpness up. And then instead of bringing on Jacob Ramsey and Matty Cash, we bring on 3 18-year-olds. And that's really the telling sign for me about what we think about that competition. And yes, it's unfortunate that we've gone out, but ultimately, am I that upset about it? If it means that we're going to be able to focus more on the Premier League, Champions League, get this prize money in, get the revenue in, get the TV deals in, because don't forget, every Champions League game is on BT Sport. They're going to probably be paying a lot of money to get those games. I don't think you can be that mad at it right now. Now, we need to get to the level of a United, a City, an Arsenal, or Chelsea. This is how you do it. So, what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below, and I will see you tomorrow for a live stream at around 10 AM to preview the Tottenham game. As always, up the Villa. See you guys soon, and peace.